This is Mixed Up Sports here on mixedupsports.webs.com, powered by twitch.tv here on this Memorial Day Monday, the 30th day of May 2016. I am Frank Marchese, Christian Ryan to my left, Nick Sexton to my right. Boys, how you doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good.
And it all comes down to this tonight. It is going to be game number 7 between the number 1 ranked Golden State Warriors and the number 3 ranked Oklahoma City Thunder. I think, I definitely did not have this series going back to San Francisco. But game 7, I'm going to stick with my pick with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, when it comes to this series, people can always go back to saying that, home court advantage is key. Well, early in the series, that wasn't necessarily the case when Oklahoma City took, I believe, game 1, was it? Or one of the first 2 games in Oakland. So with this being the case, it's still anyone's game, but my money is right now they're hot. They're won 2 straight games. I feel that Warriors are not going to want to lose on their home court. They're going to want to prove that they can hold up to the hype of this record that they got this regular season, and for that reason, I feel like they're going to win this game. It's going to be a close run, but I feel that, the way that Warriors have been playing these last couple games, I feel like it's going to transpire over to the 3rd game, and I feel that, given that what Westbrook and Durant have done for this Thunder team, yes, they've been playing great this series, but I feel like tonight is going to be the end of their season.
Now, in Game 6 at Oklahoma City, the Thunder lost the Warriors by 7 points, 108 to 101. And as I think everyone did, like you mentioned, Frankie, pretty much everyone had the Thunder winning this at their home court. But obviously that wasn't the case. But the reason that I'm confident that the Thunder will be able to pull this one out at Oracle tonight is because it took Klay Thompson to have an absolutely ridiculous game, 41 points, shooting 11 for 18 from the 3-point range, and the Thunder as a team to shoot 3 for 23 from the 3-point line. It took all that to happen for the Warriors to pretty much squeak out a win against this team. And the likelihood of Klay Thompson going off and the likelihood of the Thunder having a terrible shooting night again, very low. As far as especially the Thunder, Klay Thompson, you can have a great night, but if the Thunder take good shots, and because a lot of the time it was them trying to answer back with Golden State, and you can't get into that mindset of hitting a 3 right after Golden State hits a 3, because that's just not. Golden State's a shooting team that specializes in this, obviously, so you can't try to replicate that. So, like I said before, if the Thunder take good shots, and if they're able to shoot at least a little bit better than they did from the 3-point line in Game 6, this should be a nice win for Oklahoma City and dethrone the Golden State Warriors.
As I said the other day, the bench for Oklahoma City has been really the key to keeping them this close throughout the entire series. We've seen that Oklahoma City's bench is a lot better than the bench for Golden State, and overall making them just more of a complete team. The key contributor on the bench for Oklahoma City has been Dion Waiters. Waiters, who has averaged 10 points per game coming off the bench in the first 4 games of the series, has shot 1 for 9 with no trips to the free throw line and 3 points in games 5 and 6 combined. That is going to be the key. If Oklahoma City's bench can come back out of whatever relapse they've been in over these last 2 nights, they can definitely not only take it to Golden State, but they can take it to Cleveland as well.
For me, the key in this game, for me, I had said that Warriors would win this game. For me, the key for this component of this game is Bogut. Now, he's not a guy who's going to score you a lot of points, but just the defensive factor and the rebounding abilities that this guy has. Like I said, granted, the only thing that needs to be worked on is his free throw. Everybody knows that the hack of Bogut, apparently, that and a couple others on the team. You can talk about Festus Azealia. So my main point is everybody needs to focus on free throws, but Andrew Bogut definitely needs to step up. Well, I was watching, I want to say Game 5, and Andrew Bogut, I believe, had 14, 15 points, and I believe like 16 or 17 rebounds. The guy, when he steps up for the team, and that's for me the key for Warriors to win this game. But I agree 100% with what you said, Frankie, that Dion Waiters is a necessary key factor for OKC to come away with this win. But for my pick and my prediction here, I need Bogut to step up.
And for OKC, I think that honestly it's as simple as taking better shots. Durant and Westbrook combined shot 20 for 58. And if you're going up against a team like the Warriors, you have got to shoot better than that, including for 3-point field goals. They shot 1 for 13, and that needs to change. They need to realize that this is obviously the biggest game that they've pretty much played. Game 7 against the number 1 team in NBA history, according to the record. So with them, I think that they realize what this means. They have the intensity to do it. They've won in Oracle before. They just need to do what they did in Game 1 and come out there with the same effort and intensity they've shown this series, and act like they deserve to be in the finals.
When you've taken, and by the way, it was 15 points and 14 boards for Bogut in Game 5. Golden State has only lost twice, has only lost 4 times at Oracle this year. 2 of those losses have come in this series against Oklahoma City. OKC has had more success, well, just about the same amount of success, maybe a little bit more by margin of victory, at Oracle than Golden State has had this series. Now you take a must-win game. Both of these teams, Golden State, again, 73 wins this year. You can't knock what they've done this season. You put them up against an Oklahoma City team who has tasted the finals before, want to get back there. This is the first time their big 3 of Westbrook, Durant, and Ibaka have been healthy in the postseason since that playoff run a couple years ago against the Heat. This game, I believe Westbrook will take over. He became a rebound short of another triple-double, which would have been his 3rd of the series 2 nights ago. This game, to put it's going to go to the Oklahoma City Thunder. I cannot see this game going anywhere else. And Golden State will be known as the team who won the most games over the course of the regular season, but did not win their NBA title.
Well, you talk about championship capabilities. Let's not forget, this is the team that was there last season and won it in 6. As far as Westbrook being that all-around player, yes, he's without a doubt one of the best players in that regard. But at the same time, I want to look at the other side of the court. You know, Curry was a rebound shy of a triple-double as well, I believe. It was 11 assists and 9 rebounds. I forget the exact amount of points he had.
10 rebounds, 9
that was
assists,
Westbrook.
31 for Curry.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the point is the guy is still ridiculous for the Warriors in this regard. And I just don't understand why everybody knocks this team and talks about how Thunder have tasted the finals. Well, this team has won it. That's the difference between the two, is that one can say they've, won a championship, and granted, people can say that they play against injured teams. Well, you can't knock a championship. A championship's a championship regardless of who you played against or not. So for that reason, I'm still rooting for Warriors in this regard. However, I would not be surprised if Thunder were able to pull away with it as well.
Another reason that I think the Thunder can win this is because in Game 6, they were in major foul trouble. Durant ended up with 4 fouls. Ibaka 4 fouls. Roberson 5. Adams 4. That's just their starting lineup. And so putting those guys in foul trouble, Roberson, he's a much better defender than Dion Waiters. And with him being in foul trouble, Dion Waiters had to guard Klay Thompson a lot. And Dion Waiters is not he's a below average defender really. So putting him on Klay Thompson, It's something that you do not want to let happen, and that's, for my money, that's why Klay Thompson had such a good night. He had a good matchup with Waiters, and so if they're able to stay out of foul trouble, and keep Roberson on the floor to at least guard Klay Thompson when he's there, I think that they'll be able to not. I mean, with Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, you can't contain these guys. They're the the way they can shoot the ball. It's nearly unstoppable. So you just have to limit how many good looks they can get and hope that they miss the contested ones. Because in Game 6, Klay Thompson was not missing anything. And I mean, at that point, as a coach, if you're the Thunder, you just have to kind of throw your hands up with how they guarded Klay Thompson a lot of times perfectly, and he still got the shot up and in. And so you just have to limit the good chances, the good shot opportunities that they can get, and hope that they miss the contested ones. So, like I said, if they can stay out of foul trouble, I can definitely see the Thunder. Durant and Westbrook, they're hungry for that first ring. That first ring is so much more than any other ring after that, you know. And so I think they really want to prove to everyone that they can stay in with these teams like the Warriors. And so for that reason, I think the Thunder will pull this one out and move to the finals.
Now the question is, regardless of who makes it to the finals, whether it's Golden State or whether it's Oklahoma City, they're going to have to go up against the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving, who without a shadow of a doubt put on their best performance of the postseason in Game 6 against the Toronto Raptors. For my money, the winner comes out of the West. Cleveland's pick and roll defense is not good by any stretch of the imagination. Then couple that with the fact that Golden State and Oklahoma City are two of the best teams in the league running the pick and roll, whether it's the driving kick or driving kick more so for Golden State. To me, it doesn't matter which one of these teams wins. Essentially, if they win tonight, they win the NBA title.
Now, I wouldn't be too sure of that statement there, because in last year's finals, the Cavaliers still took the Warriors to 6 games without Kyrie Irving or Kevin Love. LeBron is a once in a generation player, and he'll go down as one of the best basketball players of all time, possibly even the greatest. And so with him leading his team with a healthy Kyrie Irving, a healthy Kevin Love, both of them playing great, I think that they play better. They're obviously going to play better against either of these teams. And if I'm the Cavaliers, I might even be rooting for the Warriors to win it, because you have that bad blood where you know these opponents, you want to get that revenge against them. And LeBron, with his competitive spirit, if he goes against a team that he truly really wants to beat, that he has past knowledge of them, they played him last year, he will play like he hasn't played this postseason. We talked about on Friday how he mentioned he hasn't had to take over a game. That'll be the games how you'll do it. He'll take over a game in the finals, let alone. But if he's going against the Warriors, you can bet there's going to be some extra intensity in LeBron's playing there.
Well, when I first, was going into these conference final games, I had originally thought that Warriors would win it and they would win everything at some point. Now it's so far that OKC's been putting up a fight, and we're at Game 7 now. But I'm looking at the other side in the East for LeBron James and the Cavaliers. And you had mentioned it, Nick, that when the three of them play together, Kyrie, Love, and LeBron James, they are a dominant team. But the biggest key for me is whether or not Kevin Love is hot or not. When he's on, he's on. Whether it's 25 points or more, whether 7 to 8 rebounds, the guy is ridiculous. But when he is off, by God, he is off to a point where he's 5 points or less, 1 for 5. It's a bit ridiculous. And if that's the only thing that would bother me, is that if Kevin Love is hot or not, that pretty much decides the game. Because Kyrie, yeah, he's good for the most part. And LeBron James, you're going to get a decent night every night from him. But it's right now the key factor is Love. If Love's not hot, the Cavs aren't hot. And with that being said, we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away.
All right, we're back, and as we saw during the commercial break, I think Nick and I just got a little less sure over our picks since Skip Bayless, who is renowned for all of his correct sports opinions, like Houston regretting not drafting Manziel and Tim Tebow being better than Aaron Rodgers or Derek Fisher being a better coach than Steve Kerr, said that Oklahoma City should easily beat Golden State at the Oracle because now the pressure is off of Durant and Westbrook. So, for the love of God, if you still can, bet Golden State because Skip Bayless is taking Oklahoma City. To the NHL, now game number 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals is tonight between the San Jose Sharks and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Both of these teams had a tough road to get here. The San Jose Sharks defeating the LA Kings in 5, the Nashville Predators in 7, and the St. Louis Blues in 6. Pittsburgh going through the Rangers in 5, the President's Trophy winning Capitals in 6, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning in 7. Guys, my money, I don't know. I really don't know.
And the funny thing is, out of the three of us, you're the most renowned for having the best idea about hockey.
Yeah, these two teams are so evenly matched, otherwise I would.
I mean, it's really going to be a great Stanley Cup Finals to really watch this year. For me, I'm not sure if it's I'm hoping just because they're in the same conference that, Penguins have a chance, or I don't know. For me, I'm rooting towards the Penguins. For some reason, I love watching Sidney Crosby play. The guy is without a doubt one of the greatest players to play this game. And for that being the case...
Probably the only one outside of Pittsburgh that actually enjoys watching him play.
Well, I'll take it. I mean, Bruins, we have some issues here, so I'll just, for now, go for Penguins. But with that being the case, I mean, this guy, in this past series alone, he came up clutch when his team needed him. I believe he scored he scored within 40 seconds in overtime in Game 2 of the series, and at the same time he scored the game-winning goal in Game 3. So I mean, back to back, that in those two games when they needed him most, he was there and able to provide. And even in Game 6, he was able to assist and allow his team to be in a position where they wouldn't lose the game. And it turned out they ended up winning the game 5-2. Well, that was back in Game 6. My apologies. In which they went on to Game 7. But the guy is just basically, he stepped up the series when they needed him to. As far as San Jose, I mean, they've been playing phenomenal as well. But for me, I'm leaning towards more Penguins than anything.
I mean, obviously, when you have two teams that get to the Stanley Cup Finals, it's going to be they're both so evenly matched. But the one thing that scares me about Pittsburgh is that they faced the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Lightning took them to 7 games with their backup goalie. Their starting goalie wasn't even he got injured during the series. So for them to still go 7 games against a backup goalie, that's what worries me here. Is that especially with the threats to score goals that the Penguins have, like you mentioned, Sidney Crosby, Malkin, Kessel. I mean, these guys have a knack for putting the puck in the back of the net. So for them to take it to 7 against backup goalie, that's what worries me. And so for that reason, I'm betting my money on the San Jose Sharks to take this. Beating the Blues in 6 games. I don't feel good about picking the Penguins for the reasons I mentioned. So I think Pavelski for the Sharks and Couture and all them, they know what they need to do in order to win the Stanley Cup Finals. And I think they're going to be able to do enough to get by the Penguins.
Now, St. Louis apologize for that, went into the series with San Jose and scoring goal after goal after goal, winning games by 3+ goals every night. Now you go into the San Jose series, and San Jose flipped the script on them. They had San Jose allowed 2 goals in the first 3 games of the series. Now St. Louis came back in Game 4 and put 6 in, and then San Jose pounded them with 11 in Games 5 and 6. San Jose definitely right now has the scoring edge over Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh, you're right, Nick, going to 7 games against a backup goaltender is not fun. It's not. It's not ideal, especially when you look at the games that Pittsburgh won. 3-2 in overtime. 2-1 was the series winner. They ended up losing 4-2 in both games 4 and 5. So Pittsburgh has had some problems scoring when they need to. Crosby has definitely helped. You have the word looking for word. You have the assisting play. I know that's not the right one, but of Malkin to help with Crosby. You also have this young goaltender by the name of Murray, who has rejuvenated this team, who has helped Pittsburgh maintain this hot streak that they have been on really since the middle of March. And now you're going into June, you're going into the Stanley Cup Final. We're still riding this hot streak. The question is, when is the hot streak going to end? And I promise you, by the time we go to break, I will have a pick.
And the funny thing is, when it comes to that, I mean, you guys all listed great reasons, and that's obviously going to be a factor, is whether or not they're able to score. But for me, another thing I forgot to mention that I really wanted to get off my chest earlier with my Pittsburgh pick was when they have possession, they are easily, without a doubt, a ridiculous team to go up against. I believe, if I'm not wrong, I believe I saw the stat somewhere. It was 35-17 as far as shots at goal. When they have, my bad.
Yeah,
39-17.
Yeah, that's right. In game 7 rather.
They are without a doubt very clinical. Whether or not it's actually scoring out of those 39, and that's the hard part. But defensively, they can hold up. I mean, only giving up 17 shots. I mean, let's face it, that's not easy in NHL by any means, as far as pros are concerned. But they're defensively, if they can hold on to possession, I wouldn't see why they can't hold their own. I don't see it being a clean sweep for either team, let's face it. I see this being a nitty-gritty down to the bare bones, bare knuckles, everything in this series, and I can't wait to watch.
And in this series, I made my pick of the San Jose Sharks, but I believe that this game, or the series, will go 7 games in my opinion. Even though the reasons I mentioned of them not being able to score goals, Sidney Crosby, we've talked about him. He's an amazing player, one of the best to do it, and big superstar players find a way to show up in big games, big primetime games. And I think that this is Sidney Crosby is not going to. He's going to answer to the call of these primetime games, and he's going to be able to help his team, if not carry his team, to make this a very good series. Now, I picked the Sharks, but I would not be surprised at all to see the Penguins win the Stanley Cup series. And so, for Sidney Crosby and his presence on the ice alone, I'm going to say that it goes 6 or 7 games, but it'll, like you mentioned, it's definitely going to be a great series to watch.
I've made my pick. It is going to be a knockdown, drag-out series. San Jose has a lot of veterans on the team that have not tasted Stanley Cup Finals yet. They have a young goaltender in Martin Jones, who is starting for the first time this year. This as an everyday starter. This is the first time this year he was an everyday starter. Pittsburgh has gone to a backup goaltender that has been playing better than Marc-Andre Fleury, who has been their goaltender for the last, 10, 11 years. The veteran side of both teams, they both have very influential veterans. Sidney Crosby, who has been the face of the league pretty much since he's come in. On the flip side, you have a guy like Joe Thornton, who is a very, very highly touted player, has been his entire career. Then you have supporting cast members of Kessel, Bonino, and Hagelin on Pittsburgh. Supporting cast members of Pavelski, Couture, and Marlowe on San Jose. Pittsburgh has the experience. They have the hot streak. San Jose has the youth and the fire. And it is for that reason that I feel as though the San Jose Sharks will win their first Stanley Cup in their first attempt in their 25-year history in 7 games, with Game 7 going into overtime. That will be how the 2015-16 NHL season will end. Back after this, don't go away. All right, we're back here again. As I said, this Memorial Day Monday, a lot of people lose sight as the years go on as to what Memorial Day is all about, which is about paying respects to those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice to protect the freedoms that we all hold near and dear to us. So without the soldiers that have put their lives on the line to do what they do, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. We wouldn't be having these conversations, and we wouldn't be free to say what we want to say if it wasn't for them. So no matter what you're doing on this Memorial Day, just try to remember what the day truly means. And now it's not just a day of barbecues and going to the beach for everyone. For many people, it is a day of mourning and a day to remember loved ones that they have lost over the years. So I just wanted to say that before we close the show out today with Major League Baseball, as trade rumors now are starting to grow. We're going into the second month of the baseball season. With teams, you pretty much know where you stand right now. A lot of teams are still unsure, like the San Francisco Giants don't quite know what they are yet. They could be a team that goes on a 5-game losing streak, or they could be the team that's currently on an 8-game winning streak right now. But a lot of trades that would be happening right now are trades to fill holes and fill gaps where other teams may help with that. Mets just acquiring James Loney from the San Diego Padres. The Mets taking his $8 million salary with him, taking on his $8 million salary. But another trade that looks as though is going to be in the works and probably will be completed closer to the trade deadline, which is August 1st, I believe, since this is a leap year. The Chicago White Sox looking into James Shields from the San Diego Padres. And Nick, since this is right down your alley, definitely share your insight, please.
Well, I mean, as a Padres fan, you've almost gotten used to trading away borderline stars in the league. You know, it started with Adrian Gonzalez going, and Matt Latos followed, and Chase Headley. We signed Justin Upton, then lost him, and so James Shields, another one that we signed prior to the 2015 season, I believe. And so it seemed as though the Padres were kind of trying to build a competitive team, but we all know how that ended up. So I mean, it didn't really make any sense to go with someone that wasn't a prospect of sorts, where he was established but also getting up there in age, where it helped us, but it wasn't going to make that big of a difference as far as competition because of where we were. And so with the salary we signed him to, it makes sense for both teams it makes sense for the Padres to unload his $21 million contract, I believe. And so
over the next 3 years.
Yeah, so it worked out, and I believe in the trade talks for the White Sox, they'd be willing to part with their shortstop prospect Tim Anderson, who according to baseballprospectus.com is the number 39 ranked prospect. And so we've been searching for pretty much anyone that's a prospect. So getting him, that definitely helped to start building from the ground up for the Padres, to get prospects to hopefully help the Padres to become more competitive in a couple seasons, because this rebuild is not going to be a 2 or 3 years. This is going to take 4, 5, 6 years to rebuild the Padres based on the decisions that management has made. So this would definitely be a step in the right direction of unloading certain veterans in order to get prospects in return.
To be fair, though, the Padres have been in rebuild season for last decade and a half. I mean, come on. No, I'm just kidding. But at this point, it's Padres. If they end up getting this prospect, I think it's a good move for them. However, like I said, the $21 million contract per year for the next 2 seasons is a bit out of hand, I feel, for me. It's a lot for a guy who's 34 years old. And let's face it, last season was really, really sad I believe it was a 3.9 ERA. It's right here. I apologize. It is 3.91 ERA, because I was close. With that being stated, though, I mean, I don't see where he's going to be as far as helping out the White Sox. I mean, he's got a durable arm, if that. But I mean, like I said, he's getting up there in age. The contract, as far as how much he's being paid, is a little bit much. But if somehow the Padres can squeak this out and can continue to build on this, I don't see how much worse it could be off for them. But with that being the case, we are going into the scores from yesterday's in MLB. We had the Red Sox beating the Blue Jays 5-3 in 11 innings. Orioles beating the Indians 6-4. The Yankees beating the Rays 2-1. The Nationals destroying the Cardinals 10-2. The Brewers beating the Reds 5-4. The White Sox falling to the Royals 5-4. The Cubs beating the Phillies 7-2. The Rangers beating the Pirates 6-2. The Astros beating the Angels 8-6 in 13 innings. And the Tigers falling to the Athletics 4-2. The Twins beating the Mariners 5-4. The Giants beating the Rockies 8-3. The Diamondbacks beating the Padres, go figure, 6-3. Marlins beating the Braves 7-3, and Dodgers beating the Mets 4-2. So out of the 3 of us, seems like I'm the only one with a winning team.
And today in the MLB, we have a couple games that are in progress so far. With the Reds up on the Rockies 9-5 in the top of the 8th inning. In the top of the ninth, the Astros up on the Diamondbacks 8-2. In the top of the ninth, the the Mariners beating the Padres 9-2. Go figure. Not too surprising. But I hate to say it.
9-2.
Yeah.
They were losing. I think it was the bottom of the 8th inning. I just seen it. They were down 4-2.
Yeah. It's been a rough season, right?
Jesus.
All right. So I'm gonna try and get past that without the least amount of pain as possible. All right, and continuing, the Cubs beating the Dodgers 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning. In the top of the 3rd, the Rangers up on the Indians 3-0, and just about to start. We have 3 games that are just about to start. The Nationals and the Phillies, the Yankees versus the Blue Jays, and the Pirates versus the Marlins. At 8:15 Eastern, the Rays will face the Royals. At 9:05 Eastern, the Tigers versus the Angels. And then a couple games have already finished. The Mets defeating the White Sox 1-0. However, in that game, David Wright fell to injury with a herniated disc in his neck. So hopefully he heals up.
It wasn't during the game. He got scratched from the lineup last night with a stiff neck, and they found out just about an hour or so ago that it's a herniated disc in his neck. So he's going on the DL.
So hopefully the Mets can stay afloat during his absence. And the Braves defeating the Giants 5-3. The Red Sox defeating the Orioles 7-2.
Oh.
The Cardinals defeating the Brewers 6-0, and the A's defeating the Twins 3-2.
Biggest day in racing was yesterday. Thank God for racing. Started early in the morning at about 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time out in the Principality of Monaco, where rain impacted a vast majority of the beginning of the Grand Prix. The 2 leaders, Lewis Hamilton and Daniel Ricciardo, pitting, going from the wets to the super soft tires with about 24 laps into the Grand Prix. Hamilton's pit stop went without a problem. Daniel Ricciardo, his Red Bull team has a lot to answer for, as they didn't quite have his tires ready when they were going to change tires, so he was stuck there waiting. Came out behind Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton goes on to win the Grand Prix of Monaco after his heartbreak last year, ironically, because of his pit crew. Then you get the middle of the day, you get the Indianapolis 500, the centennial running of the Indianapolis 500, which was dominated all race long by James Hinchcliffe and Ryan Hunter-Reay. Come the end of the race, it was pit strategy once again that won the day. This time it was rookie Alexander Rossi crossing the start-finish line on lap 200 with the lead, running on a little less than fumes to win the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. And then you go from winning on air, essentially, to a dominating performance over the course of the night, with Martin Truex Jr. setting a Coke 600 record, leading 392 of the 400 laps run in the race to take his first win of the season and lock himself into the chase for the championship. That will do it for us today here on the program. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day and enjoy your week. We will see you guys here on Friday with a couple of announcements that we would like to make, but that will hold off until Friday. We'll see you then.